Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. Hold on to your hats, Blue Jays fans, because what I'm about to tell you is going to blow your mind. Just when you thought the off-season was winding down, just when you figured the big moves were done and dusted, the Toronto Blue Jays have dropped an absolute bombshell that has the entire baseball world scrambling to figure out what's happening. We're talking about a pursuit that came out of absolutely nowhere, a report that has fans losing their minds on social media, and a potential signing that could completely transform this team's championship aspirations. I'm talking about Framber Valdez, people, and trust me when I say this story has more twists and turns than a Hollywood thriller. So before you even think about clicking away, you need to hear every single detail of this developing situation because things are moving fast, and I mean lightning fast. Let me set the stage for you. The baseball world was basically in cruise control mode. The NBA trade deadline was dominating sports headlines, people were talking about whether Giannis was getting moved, and the MLB offseason had settled into that quiet lull where nothing major seemed to be happening. Then, boom! Out of absolutely nowhere, legendary insider Jon Heyman drops a tweet that sent shockwaves through Blue Jays Nation. He reveals that the Toronto Blue Jays are among several teams with serious interest in top free agent starter Framber Valdez. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Heyman mentioned several teams having interest, but guess which team was the only one he specifically named? That's right, the Toronto Blue Jays. Not the Orioles, not the Astros trying to bring him back, just Toronto getting the spotlight in this report that he co-authored with the equally reliable Joel Sherman. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've seen this movie before, right? The Blue Jays get linked to a big name, fans get excited, and then it turns out they were just being used as leverage to drive up the price for another team. We've all been burned before, we've all felt that disappointment. But here's where this story takes an absolutely wild turn that should have every single Blue Jays fan sitting up and paying attention. When the usual suspects on social media started claiming that Toronto was just being used as leverage, that this was all a ploy to make the Orioles or Astros sweat and pony up more cash, Jon Heyman himself came back with a response that basically told everyone to pump the brakes on those conspiracy theories. A Twitter user named James Shadow replied to Heyman's tweet suggesting that agents were trying to make the Orioles sweat, implying this was all just a negotiating tactic. And what did Heyman do? He directly responded with, and I quote, "Unsurprisingly, conspiracy theorist misses the mark." Let that sink in for a moment. One of baseball's most connected insiders went out of his way to push back against the narrative that the Blue Jays are just being used for leverage. He specifically countered that claim, essentially telling everyone that Toronto's interest is legitimate, serious, and very real. When was the last time you saw an insider defend a team's involvement in a free agent pursuit like that? This isn't just smoke, folks. This is a four-alarm fire, and the Blue Jays are right in the middle of it. Now let's talk about why this makes so much sense from a baseball perspective, because once you start connecting the dots, you'll realize this might actually be one of the smartest potential moves the front office could make. Framber Valdez is a ground ball machine, an absolute wizard at getting hitters to pound the ball into the dirt. And guess what the Blue Jays just happen to have? One of the most elite infield defenses in all of baseball. We're talking about Ernie Clement, who can pick it with the best of them, and Andres Gimenez, who just joined the team and brings Gold Glove caliber defense to the infield. You put a ground ball specialist like Valdez behind that kind of defensive excellence, and you've got a recipe for absolute dominance. Think about it this way. The Blue Jays already went out and spent serious money on starting pitching this offseason. They've loaded up the rotation with quality arms, but apparently they're not done yet. They've got financial flexibility that most teams would kill for, and with a potential lockout looming after this season, why not flex those financial muscles now? Why not take advantage of a market that has clearly crashed for Framber Valdez and scoop up an ace-caliber pitcher at what could be a massive discount? Here's the thing that has everyone buzzing. Valdez's market has absolutely plummeted, and I mean fallen off a cliff. This is a guy who was projected by Spotrac to get 6 years and $200 million. 6 years. $200 million. That's ace money, that's franchise pitcher money, and that's clearly not happening anymore. If teams were willing to pay that kind of cash, this deal would have been done months ago. We're approaching March, and Valdez is still sitting out there unsigned. That tells you everything you need to know about how his market has developed, or rather, failed to develop. So what's the play here? Smart baseball minds are suggesting that Valdez might be looking at a short-term, high average annual value deal with a player opt-out after the first year. Think about it, maybe 2 years at $60 million with an opt-out after year 1. That kind of structure would be absolutely perfect for both sides. Valdez gets to bet on himself, prove that his slight late-season struggles in 2025 were just a blip, and if he has a monster year, he can opt out and hit free agency again when the market might be more favorable. For the Blue Jays, you're getting a potential ace without the long-term commitment that might be scary given some of the concerns around Valdez. And yes, let's address the elephant in the room. There are legitimate clubhouse concerns with Framber Valdez. We all remember the incident where he intentionally threw a fastball at his own catcher after mixing up signs. That's not great, Bob. That's the kind of thing that can create tension in a clubhouse, the kind of behavior that can rub teammates the wrong way. But here's the counter-argument that has me actually feeling optimistic about this potential fit. If any clubhouse in Major League Baseball can handle a guy with some personality quirks, it's the current Toronto Blue Jays clubhouse. Seriously, think about the culture that's been built in that locker room. By all accounts, the Blue Jays had one of the best clubhouse vibes in baseball last year. The chemistry was off the charts, the camaraderie was genuine, and guys genuinely enjoyed playing with each other. Some people are saying it might have been one of the best clubhouses in MLB history based on the reports and vibes coming out of there. You've got leaders like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Alejandro Kirk who seem like exactly the kind of calming presences that could keep Valdez focused and composed on the mound. Kirk especially, given his role as the catcher, could be instrumental in managing Valdez's emotions during games. If anyone can integrate a challenging personality without disrupting team chemistry, it's this current Blue Jays squad. Now let's talk rotation depth and why adding Valdez makes even more sense when you look at the big picture. The Blue Jays currently have Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber, Trey Savage, Cody Poteet, and Yoriel Rodriguez in the rotation mix. Sounds solid, right? But let's dig deeper. Yusei Kikuchi has a player option after this year and is probably going to opt out and hit free agency. Kevin Gausman becomes a free agent after this season. Trey Savage, while talented, hasn't proven he can stay healthy and handle a full workload over a complete season. Same thing with Cody Poteet. You've got question marks all over this rotation beyond 2025. Adding a proven commodity like Valdez, even on a short-term deal, gives you insurance and a potential long-term piece if things work out. And here's where the timing gets really interesting. The Astros, Valdez's former team and the organization many assumed would bring him back, apparently haven't had any recent conversations about a reunion. General Manager Dana Brown went on record saying they haven't talked to Valdez lately about returning to Houston. That door seems to be closing, if not already shut completely. The Orioles are still in the mix, and honestly, they are probably still the favorites to land him. But here's the thing, the longer this drags out, the better it is for teams like the Blue Jays who are willing to be patient and let the market come to them. Remember those reports from earlier in the off-season? Insiders like Ben Nicholson-Smith said that Valdez would only really be an option for the Blue Jays if his price came down to their market range. Well, guess what's happening? His price is cratering. This is exactly the scenario the front office was hoping for. They didn't panic and overpay early. They stayed disciplined, kept their options open, and now they are potentially in position to swoop in and grab an ace at a fraction of what he was expected to cost just a few months ago. The fit is almost too perfect when you really break it down. Elite infield defense for a ground ball pitcher, check. Financial flexibility to make a competitive offer, check. A clubhouse culture strong enough to handle potential personality concerns, check. Rotation depth needs both now and in the future, check. A market that has come down to a price point that makes sense, check. Every single piece of this puzzle is falling into place, and while I'm not saying it's a done deal by any means, the fact that we're even having this conversation in a serious way is incredibly exciting. Let's also remember what the Blue Jays have been trying to do this offseason. They made a run at Kyle Tucker and came up short. They went after Nolan Arenado and missed out. But they've shown they're willing to spend, they're willing to make bold moves, and they're not satisfied with just running it back with the same roster. Adding Framber Valdez would be a statement that this organization is all in on winning now, that they're not content to just compete but are actually trying to build a championship roster. Now, before we wrap this up, I want to quickly mention something else that's happening with the Blue Jays that shows they're honoring their past while building for the future. The organization announced that they're unveiling a statue on July 18th to commemorate the back-to-back World Series championships from 1992 and 1993, with Joe Carter getting immortalized in bronze. They're even removing the Ted Rogers statue from outside Gate 6 and moving it to a corporate office to make room for this new monument to greatness. This shows an organization that understands its history, respects its legends, and wants to create new memories worthy of being celebrated decades from now. Signing Framber Valdez could be the first step toward creating those new championship memories. So here's the bottom line. Is this deal done? Absolutely not. Are the Orioles still probably the favorites? Yeah, probably. But is this a real pursuit with legitimate interest from both sides that could actually happen? Based on Jon Heyman going to bat for the validity of Toronto's interest, based on how the market has developed, and based on how perfectly Valdez fits what the Blue Jays need, I'm saying yes, this is very real, and Blue Jays fans should absolutely be paying attention. Here's what you need to do right now. Smash that like button if you want to see Framber Valdez in a Blue Jays uniform. Drop a comment below telling me whether you think this deal gets done or if the Orioles swoop in at the last second. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this story is developing quickly, and you don't want to miss any updates. The Blue Jays are making moves, folks, and this off-season keeps getting more interesting by the day. Let's go Blue Jays, and we'll see you in the next one.